Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care with weekly small art prompts that can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. I've been looking back over some 52-week art journal journey projects and decided I wanted to revisit a night sky project, which is one of those that ends up looking more impressive than you would expect from how simple it is. I'm starting by taping off the edge of my pages. This makes things neater on your work surface, as well as creating nice, clean edges for your painting and creating a space for a fun, funky frame. It's also convenient for putting down the paint that we will pull across our page. You will need an old credit card style plastic card, and I am using inexpensive Craft Smart craft acrylics, which are ideal for this type of project. And if you've been around a while, you know that I try to use inexpensive and easy to obtain materials in my Better with Art videos, because reclaiming your creativity doesn't need to cost a lot of money. I'm using Scotch Delicate Surface Tape, which is not the most economical choice. Not bad, but any type of masking tape will do. Turning things around for a horizontal sky using plum, dark blue, and dark gray, as well as black. And my old trusty subway card. I started with my black. I don't know where the small tube is, but that's okay. Small tube bottle. My daughter may use the craft paints too. She's actually painting these cute little clay pots for adorable little succulents. To the gray, to the black, I added gray. My night sky may not look exactly like any night sky you've seen, but that's okay. Neither did Van Gogh's, but mine won't be that awesomely fantastic. It'll be fantastic in its own way, and yours will also. Added blue and plum. Decided I wanted some of the plum to not start at the edge with the other colors. Here you see the difference between pushing down against the paper more, where it leaves more distinct lines, shapes of the color, and then bringing the excess back over more gently, more softly, not pressing down as much. It's thicker and more opaque. You can decide which effect you like best. But it is kind of fun to do it heavier the first time and then back across, or just start gently. When you're going more gently, you can actually play with the paint longer. I do seem to have a little bit of unevenness on the edge of my card, which was causing me a bit of consternation, shall we say. But once you get a nice feel for the pressure you want to use, this can be quite therapeutic. I decided to apply the excess on my card to the other page, and I actually think this looks pretty cool. But I didn't want to end my fun and relaxation, creative self-care there. And I also wanted to finish filling in my sky. So I started with some more black. And I do like this more translucent effect. And you can stick with that if you would like. I wanted to play more, and I was really enjoying yeah, I was really enjoying playing in the paint. Surprise, surprise. I also had a lot of fun playing with the translucent look, making cats in a previous video, which I will link to in the description. That does look pretty cool. The overlaps and yeah, the translucent thing is pretty awesome in and of itself. But I both wanted to fill my sky and keep playing. So that's what I did. If you regularly take time to practice creative self-care with me and watch my videos, you will notice that I have switched back to a voiceover this week. I really like talking as I'm creating. I like the immediacy of it, and it can make editing easier also. It takes less time to film and voice at the same time, but I'm not happy with the sound quality. I have a little bit better, at least volume this way. If you have a preference, I would love to hear it. I am continuing to investigate a better mic setup that won't break the bank and also won't be visible when I go back to doing videos that also include my face, where I can show me and the work or flip back and forth, which I particularly want to have a better effect with my workshops. Part of the reason they're not done is I'm not happy with the quality of what I can produce right now. So there's that. Anyway, feedback, kind or at least constructive, is always appreciated. I always enjoy hearing when people are feeling inspired to make their own work, and by people sharing how they are practicing creative self-care by enjoying taking the time to make art. Have some fun with paint this week. You don't have to go with the colors of a night sky. Maybe you want to do some maybe underwater or just whatever colors make you smile or feel good or express how you're feeling in the moment. Maybe you want to try out another alternative paint application tool. If you don't have a plastic card, you can use an index card or a cut down piece of cardstock or manila folder. They just won't last as long. Ooh, another thing that would be gorgeous is a sunset. And instead of doing splashy stars like I do in the next step of this, you could do a black paint silhouette against the sunset. Again, do whatever works for you. But paint dragging, I'm sure there's a better word for it, paint pulling I've called it sometimes, is a very enjoyable way to practice creative self-care. If you decide to use any mark making tools in your paint, I would love to hear what you use. And if you'd like to share things like that in a small, encouraging community, check the link in the description to join my private Better with Art Facebook group. I debated using silver or white as I did last time, and since the silver was closest at hand, silver it is, which I think will look pretty cool. A little bit of silver paint, a little bit of water to make it more splatterable, and a small paintbrush. Mix it up and have fun splashing it on. I had intended to let this dry while I went to work Friday morning and add the splatters Friday evening, but I did not wait for it to dry. Unlike me in this video, you may want to protect your work surface from paint splatters should you decide to use them. They're fun. This project, as I have done it this week, has several fun steps and techniques to enjoy and get lost in. I added some Splatter Stars to each page and then added some more and some more. As I said, it's fun. This step I did allow to dry, both because it needs to dry to move on to the next step, and I did need to go to work. A good tape pull is both satisfying to achieve and satisfying to watch. This wasn't a horrible one, but I wouldn't exactly call it good either. It does have some good spots. One thing when you are dealing with peeling up tape, if you find that it is sticking to your paper, you can use a hairdryer to warm and melt the adhesive. I did not take that step and did lose some pieces of my page, but my paint edges all came out gorgeous. So there's that. I will speed this up and also demonstrate that you can use a glue stick to re-adhere a raised up area of paper. Elmer's washable disappearing purple are still my favorites, and the purple does vanish, and quick and easy. But as it had to dry when I moved on to the frame step after the tape, I did start with the other page. I do love how the colors came out on this, and for once the lighting was just really good all on its own. I was not expecting that because Saturday morning was cloudy and rainy. It was rather miserable morning, but the light that my desk was catching just worked perfectly. I love how this page looks also. I love the distinct purples and blues. I can't help but think these might have looked better without the silver stars because the areas that look like clouds should be obscuring the stars, and I don't know, it has more of a deep space vibe than a sky over my head vibe. I thought about fixing this torn spot with golden satin glazing liquid, which is what I use for an adhesive with my tissue paper collage, but I decided to just tear it off. As with the stars maybe not being ideal, it's about the process, not the product. And the next step in this process is using a pen to create a fun frame. Again, you can do whatever works for you. I enjoy that I not only embrace the fact that my lines will always be at least a bit wobbly, and actually encourage them to be more wobbly. If you hold your drawing implement further toward the end, it will make it even easier for you to let go of feeling like you need firm control of your lines. And yes, encourage that more organic look. A fun, more organic look is ideal for this. At least ideal for the way I would like to make my frame. I end up going around this 3 times, making sure that my lines do overlap in places for the next step of my frame. This is another one of those instances, as the paint was, where you can, if you only have a few minutes, just give it a few minutes. One of the important things to me in making Better with Art videos is providing you an option for creative self-care art making that can work in just a few minutes if that's all you have. But you can also expand upon if you have more time. I did bring things back to regular speed. Creating lines like this is definitely not the place to slow down and put in too much thoughtful effort, put too much thought into it, think too much about. Just make the lines, just enjoy it, and in the next step, you can get even more lost in the process. I had decided I wanted to do a little bit of neurographic softening of the little pointy spots. There is no real shortage of options for embellishing your frame. I use the word fun an awful lot, and I really would like to use more words, and I do use more words, but fun just keeps cropping up. All those little gaps I created with crossing my lines can be used for all types of things, like these little circles. Later, I use some lines. You can, what do you call it when you outline, but on the inside? It would be kind of like making concentric shapes, except there was only one on the inside. And I'm kind of rambling, which you may be familiar with if you have been watching my videos. Long story short, or to sum up, as always, take time to make art. It's not a waste of time. Creativity is so important to our mental health, and our mental health is very important. Art played a vital role in my recovery from severe depression. I don't know where I'd be without it. And the more time goes by, the more scientific and psychological evidence there is for the benefits that many of us already just know because we've experienced it. As human, we are wired for creativity, made in the image of the Creator. If you believe in a Christian concept of God and the Bible as scripture, there's no real getting around the fact that the way God is first revealed to humanity is as Creator, and the creation story culminates in the creation of the only being made in His image, which is us. We can't really have a Christian understanding of humanity apart from our being creative beings. We are also finite and require rest and rejuvenation. If you are someone who feels guilty for taking the time to make art, think about how your time making art makes you feel. Does it calm your mind? Does it relax you? Does it give you healthy pleasure? We can't go around taking care of all of our responsibilities running on empty. Self-care isn't about coddling or spoiling ourselves. It's about making choices and taking time to feed the various aspects of ourselves in healthy ways. And we shouldn't ignore the creative parts of ourselves when it comes to our approach to health. We're not one-dimensional. We're physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, social, and creative beings. I am so glad that you are here, and I have the opportunity to remind you that taking time for art is not a waste of time. To encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care. Take time for art. I will be back next week with another small art prompt. I'm trying to stay in the routine of a Studio Wednesday video, but if something has to give in my schedule, that's one that has to. Regardless, if you haven't yet, subscribe to both help you stay up to date with my content and encourage YouTube to show me to others so I can encourage even more people to take time for art. Give me a thumbs up if you are feeling inspired to make your own.